don't lose heart. We have a good number. Will keep on coming. We are going live with the channels. Also, we go on YouTube, WhatsApp. We go in the Instagram, and also in our website. So everything is live. We are watching from all over the world. Welcome you on behalf of the Foreign Correspondent Club and myself. We welcome you and we thank you for accepting our invitation. And we would love to have you speaking to us without further delay, because I'll just give the mic to Mr. Prakash, our secretary, to introduce you before we start the session. Thank you.
Uh, we begin with our esteemed guest here, uh, Ambassador Dr. Ramanendra Khatua. Um, he's a veteran diplomat who belongs to Indian Foreign Service. In his diplomatic career, he has held positions in the Ministry of External Affairs, Indian missions abroad, Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi. He has worked in different capacities that include finance, administration, Northern Division, and Latin American Division. He has served in the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Planning Commission, and Ministry of Industry. Uh, Khatua has been in the position of Director at the Indian Council of Cultural Relations, Dean of Foreign Service Institute, and Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. He was Ambassador of India to Argentina with concurrent accreditation to Uruguay and Paraguay, and Ambassador of India to Costa Rica, uh, that is Ivory Coast, and concurrently Ambassador to Guyana and Liberia High Commission of India to Sierra Leone. He was also served as the special envoy to South Sudan and Sudan to broker peace between the two countries. Dr. Katua is also an accomplished writer with more than 40 collections in Hindi, English, Odia, Spanish, and all other major India and international languages. And personally, he has been like a brother of mine for years in both good and bad times. Thank you very much. Uh, and our chief speaker and esteemed guest, uh, Argentinian ambassador to India, uh, His Excellency Mariano Agustin Cauchino. I hope I'm pronouncing it properly. He is an Argentine lawyer, historian, and diplomat. He graduated as a lawyer from the University of Buenos Aires and has specialized in the study of international relations. He served as ambassador of Argentina to Costa Rica and to the state of Israel. In 2024, he was appointed ambassador of Argentina to India. Previously, he was the founder and director of School of Political Science and Government at the University of Business and Social Sciences, and a professor of foreign policy and contemporary history. In fact, in 2002, he had founded the Institute of Political Studies, which later became the School of Political Science and the government at the University of uh, Business and Social Sciences. During those years, he joined the Argentinian Council for International Relations, and between 2010 and 12, he served as the president of Business Leaders Association. Between 2005 and 2012, he was director of international relations at the Institute of Business and Social Sciences, a position from which he promoted student exchange programs between Argentine students and different countries worldwide, participating in educational fairs and conferences in Latin America, the United States, Europe, and Asia. Uh, uh, Additionally, His Excellency is also a regular columnist in public media in Argentina, uh, in particular Latin American in general, the United States, and Israel on global affairs and international politics. Your Excellency, you are most welcome, and we are grateful that you have devoted some time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency. Before I give you the mic, I just want to apologize for Ambassador Kathwa because I did not introduce him, but I think our Prakash have done the needful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sawad, Prakash, and my good friend Ambassador Katua. Thank you for being here and allowing me to be with you tonight. I think you want me to speak about the Argentine-India relationship. I will speak very briefly, and then if it is better to share some ideas with you, because the dialogue is more interesting than what I can say. The relationship between the two countries, of course, it has been established since the independence of India in 1947. The embassy was opened here very soon after that. I think in 1950 it was the establishment of the embassy in Delhi. Argentina was among the first Latin American countries to have a sitting ambassador here. I think we were number one or number two.
You have to switch it on. That's okay. That's on. That's only one. We don't need the second.
Okay.
We keep this one here. And India has always supported us in the issue of Malvinas. We have shared many forums, many initiatives, and we are two democracies and some important shared values. Although we belong to different cultures, different regions of the world, and of course we have a completely different national experience. But in the last 6 years, Argentina and India elevated its relationship to the rank of a strategic partnership. And since 2019, approximately, that this relationship evolved to the extent that today India is the sixth largest partner of Argentina. And currently, we enjoy a economic relationship of about $5.5 billion, which for Argentina is an important figure. And today we are the number one provider in terms of edible oils in this country, which is the largest buyer of edible oils in the world, India. We are number one in soybean oil, and we were number three in sunflower oil, but last year we were number two in sunflower. So in the combined number of those, we are in the number one position. At the same time, Argentina and India enjoy a very high degree of complementarity in both economies. So that allows of a lot of cooperation, for example, in mining and lithium and other fields that then, if you want, we can expand. Also, there were some cooperations in terms of a nuclear field. Some years ago, Argentina participated in the construction of a nuclear facilities here in Mumbai, of course, for peaceful purposes. And there are other issues in which the two countries have been cooperating a lot, for example, in some exchanges of experience in defense and even in the field of culture. For example, last month we had the opportunity to be the invited country for the International Book Fair in Kolkata, which made us very proud. So I would say that the two countries enjoy very positive relationship for 75 years, now 76. But in the last 6 years, this was elevated to a strategic partnership that goes more, not only in the title of the link, but also in the reality. And I think that is going to continue growing since India is thriving so much. You are becoming the fourth, and you will be the third largest economy very soon. So this relationship will continue expanding as many other relations between Latin America or South American countries and this and India, our good friend the ambassador. So I will stop here and I will allow comments and questions and that I think that will be more interesting for you. And as I told you, unfortunately, 8:15 I will have to leave. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. I just wanted to acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Ambassador of Azerbaijan as well. I'll give the mic to Ambassador Kathwa to make a small comment on the relation between India and Argentina, and what did you learn over the years with Argentina?
It's like India. Argentina is a unity in diversity. Uh, some people, in a funnier manner, to make you laugh, they say Argentina is Europe suffering in Latin America imposed on Europe. Why there? Almost 47% people of population of Argentina has Italian connection. There are people with German connection. tremendous numbers. Spanish connection, Arab connection, Jewish connection. Therefore, the diversity is of splendor. Second, historically, Argentina's literature, performing arts, culture, very close to India. But somehow, earlier days, basically us diplomats and the politicians, they talked a lot about cooperation, but could not do much. As Ambassador has said, after the strategic partnership, tremendous amount of things have happened. Say, for example, our pulses, lentil, oilseed security for next 50 years, we don't have to do anything. We just have to do import from Argentina, tell them to come our free trade zone and process them for edible oil, and do warehouse selling. That itself will add our trade to $500 million. Then our cooperation in the oil sector is coming, which is very substantial. YPF, like almost I started that. Then about our investment, about 17 companies in auto sector, other sector is about $1 billion. All these things are happening. Tourism has increased. Argentina is such a friendly country. In 7 universities, they have full-fledged yoga course. So what I'll do, let me stop here. Let Ambassador answer the questions because he doesn't have much time. Then we'll continue.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think we can open the floor for question and answer. You may wait for the mic and introduce yourself, please. Yes. Yeah.
Ambassador, thank you for doing this. If you could give us a little bit more understanding on the lithium cooperation that is there. And when does it get on the ground, more importantly?
Well, Argentina has one of the most important lithium reserves in the world. It is part of South America that it is called the lithium triangle. It is integrated by part of the northern territory of Argentina, northern part of the territory of Chile, and part of Bolivia. And all combined, they have very, very important part or portion, let's say, of the reserves of lithium in the entire world. India is a country that's developing a program of electric vehicles and other developments which require batteries and all these type of devices, and they need lithium. And so as the Indian government and the Indian society is trying to diversify its provision of these critical minerals and resources, and we think that's very wise from your point of view, not to be dependent on one single provider. Argentina, in this case, it's able to provide energy security or let's say critical mineral security to India. And they are already working on this. And there are some Indian companies working, for example, in the state of Catamarca. Our country is divided in 24 federal states. We call them provinces. You call them states. It is almost the same. The constitutional model of the Argentine government, it is based, as most of the majority of the American countries are adopted from the model of the US Constitution. So we are presidential systems, but federal systems in which the country is divided into 24 provinces or states that they are the owners of the natural resources in the country. And currently, there is a very good cooperation between this state of Catamarca and other states in the north of Argentina, and in the parts of Argentina close to the Cordillera de los Andes, which is the limit with Chile. And we are working more on this. The government of Argentina, the new government in 2024, we passed a law in the 2 houses of parliament promoting a new regime of investments, foreign investments, and that gives facilities to these investments. And this regime is very convenient for this type of industries, for this type of developments. And so they are working even more. And now we are very proud to say that in 2 months, at mid April, India is going to host an important meeting here called Steel Bharat, or Bharat Steel. And I think it's 16 and 17 of April. It's being held here by the Ministry of Steel and Mining, and the Ministry of Mining. And some governors of Argentina are expected to come. Governors in Argentina is the same as in the America. It is the same as, almost the same as a chief minister here. Is a political chief of those states. So it's very important. So I hope this can be expanded. We are sure that it will be expanded, and I think it's an example of the complementarity between the two countries for the good of both countries.
And to familiarize, Ambassador had got a delegation from Argentina in lithium sector. Introduction between Indian and Indian
Yeah.
users and the resource owners.
Yes.
Yes, Venkat, please.
Excellency, I have two questions for you. What is the status of Las Malvinas or the Falklands Islands, on which you
Malvinas.
and Britain had a lot of tension when Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister, number one. Number two, these G4 efforts to become permanent members of the Security Council. The Coffee Club, Argentina is a member of the Coffee Club, and you have some reservations about Brazil, and China has a reservation about Japan, Pakistan has reservations about India, Germany, Italy, I think, has problems with Germany becoming. So, what is the position right now? Are you, of course, you were talking about expansion in the non-permanent category, but does that mean that you actually oppose this G4 getting the status of permanent membership of the Security Council? And now that you are posted here, you have been seeing India, etc., etc. What are your views on the subject? Thank you.
Well, regarding the first question about Malvinas, the Malvinas issue, the story is this: the Malvinas were part of the Spanish Empire. Argentina is a successor state of the Spanish Empire. That part of the Spanish Empire is today Argentina. Other part are other countries, because the Spanish Empire split into a number of nations in our region of the world. But those islands were occupied by the British in 1833, and they have been occupying those islands for almost 200 years. Argentina has always claimed the exercise of the full sovereignty of those territories, because they belong to Argentina. And if you observe a map, you will see that they are very close to our mainland, while they are extremely very far away from the United Kingdom. Eh, for 150 years, let's say, Argentina has always claimed the exercise of the full sovereignty of what belongs to us. And in 1965, in December 1965, 6 years ago, last month, 2 months ago, Argentina got the recognition in the General Assembly of the United Nations of the situation of that there was an issue of sovereignty there, and that the two parts had to reach a diplomatic solution. That was important for our diplomacy. Then what happened is that in 1982, it is true what you were saying, there was a war. And unfortunately, Argentina lost that war. And that situation, of course, it complicated matters, because between 1965 and especially since 1971, when there was an agreement of communications, situation was in some way was evolving positively, and that situation changed after the war. But Argentina is a country that has reformed its constitution in 1994, and in 1994 we established in our constitution that the Malvinas are part of the territorial integrity of Argentina, and that there is obligation of the every Argentine government to claim the full sovereignty, full exercise of the sovereignty, because the sovereignty is ours. What we are claiming is the full exercise of the sovereignty. At the same time, the Constitution established unanimously in 1994 that that has to be achieved by peaceful means, by diplomatic means. So that's our commitment. That's what every government since has been doing. That's what our government is doing now. But of course, if you ask me if the British are going to withdraw or if they are going to give us back the islands next week, I think that's difficult. But that's what we are claiming, and we do it in a peaceful way. And in other matters, we try to have the best relation possible with the UK, which has many positive things in the relationship. But they have something that belongs to us. That's regarding Malvinas. Regarding the other issue, regarding the expansion of the UN Security Council, well, of course, it is. Everybody knows that the current design of the UN Security Council, it's the result of the distribution of power that emerged after the Second World War. And so, 5 countries have a veto power there. They have a permanent seat, and those countries were the victors of the Second World War. Today, the world has evolved in such a way, 8 decades had passed, and the world order is always changing in the world, but it is obvious that today's world is not the same as 1945. It might be better or worse, but it's different. And of course, everybody knows that important countries, even some of them the most populated countries in the world, are not represented. So there is a sort of problem between the actual design and the current situation in the world order. So everybody agrees that some type of reform should be achieved. Again, if you ask me if next week we are going to get that, I don't think so, because the countries that have a permanent seat, they will try to preserve that privilege. Obviously, everyone tries to preserve power as much as possible. But what I can say there is that Argentina and India are 2 countries that are members of the G20, and we observe the G20 as the most representative platform in the world today. Of course, it is the G20 is not an international organization; it's a sort of mechanism, let's say, or a forum. But it is important to people's members of the G20. We think it's important to work there because that platform represents much better the world today, because the G7 is represented there, the most important countries from the point of view of their economies, and also the developing countries of what you call here the global south. So I think we think that the G20 is a great opportunity for us, and we have to work together. And I think in these last 2 decades, Argentina and India have worked very good in that field. That's the only I can say. The other thing I have to mention is that Argentina is presenting a candidate for the UN security for the UN Secretary General, which is going to be renewed in, I think, in October. I don't remember the month, but this year. And Argentina is proposing Ambassador Rafael Grossi. Currently he is the head of the Atomic Energy Agency. He's a very senior diplomat of Argentina. He was ambassador to Austria. And we're proposing him as a candidate because there is a consensus, let's say, that there should be a rotation in the regions of the world. And the only and last time that Latin America or South America had Secretary General was in the early 80s, more than 40 years ago, when Javier Pérez de Cuellar was a Peruvian, very distinguished Peruvian diplomat, was the Secretary General. So that's what I can say. It's more a reflection than an answer, no? But that's what I am able to say. Thanks to you.
Excellency, can we say that Argentina, India can be an example of a South-South cooperation, because India is also projecting itself as a South leader in this part of the world when they're taking lead also in the G20 or whether it's in the BRICS. So we have seen India movement in that, but with the Latin America in insight for India now, They're moving toward Latin America in a very large scale business investment, food security, and all oil security. So, do you see that can be an example to for a South-South cooperation?
Well, it is an example. It's an example of how two countries that, although they belong to different regions of the world, although they belong to people have different cultures, are able to work together when they have a mutual interest, when they have a shared values, when they have a respect for the type of government that the one has and the other has. So I think it's a very positive. I would say South-South, yes, but I think it's more than that. It's even India is more than that, because India is the largest country in the world in terms of population. The economy of India today is 4.5 approximately of the but of the global GDP of the world. It is more or less the same as I think it's a little more than Japan now and a little less than Germany. But in today's world, let's say that 25% of the economy of the world is the US, 22 maybe is China, and then you have three countries that are around 5%, Germany, Japan, India, or Germany, India, and Japan. So, but India is growing more. India is growing more than Japan and Germany. So the truth is that you are going to be the third largest economy at the end of this decade, or maybe sooner, in 2 years or three. So um, I think everybody is paying more and more attention to India, because India is a new global player in the world. So I think as this is going to continue, and India is going to continue thriving, my country is paying more and more attention, and the same can be said about many of the countries in the region. So it is an example of this type of cooperation that you were saying, but I think it's an example of complementarity and positive trajectory of a relationship.
Anybody else like a question? Yes,
The
Ambassador.
ambassador.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Thank you for inviting me to this event. I think we ambassadors should attend each other's events to learn more, because
Yeah.
part of our job is not only bilateral relations between our countries with the host country, but also learning about the host country's relations with other countries. So in that sense, it's a very interesting one, and thank you for having me here. My question will be a bit provocative about the Board of Peace. Azerbaijan, as like Argentina, were founding members, and Board of Peace raised a lot of questions in India. I've been approached a couple of times with questions, why are you there? Now I want to learn, why are you there? What's your explanation on that?
No,
Uh,
yes, thank you very much, Ambassador. Uh, well, this is an initiative launched by the U.S. administration very recently, I think 1 or 2 months ago, and we received that invitation as very positively, in the sense that if we can contribute to the possibility of finding a solution, or at least an approximation of a terrible problem that is happening there in the Gaza Strip, and we think it's very positive for Argentina. Israel is very important. I have to tell you, I was ambassador to Israel, so I know very well that situation. But you have to take on account that the 1% of the population of Israel is from Argentine origin. 1% is 100,000 people, which is a very large number. And you will find Argentines, important Argentines, there in parliament and in every place of society. So what happened is October 7, 2023, for us is unacceptable. And we have been very consistent in this. The Argentine government, President Milei, has been very consistent in this, that terrorism has to be rejected in all terms. And in this, we agree fully with the Indian government and with the Indian people that have been suffering terrorism, maybe sometimes in some parts on a daily basis. So we know what is that. And when I had the opportunity to live there, I know what terrorism is in that sense. Even my country, although it's very far away from the center of the world, let's say, but we had two terror attacks that were terrible in 1992, 1994, in which we lost, in the two acts combined, we lost 100 innocent people. And we know what is that. The Board of Peace is this initiative. It is launched by President Trump. Argentina is a member. Other countries are members. I think it's in the early stage. I cannot say really if how it is evolving, but we think it is positive. And I'm not dealing with this in a direct way. But if this can, as some sort of coexistence and possibility of finding peace, that is welcome in that situation. Of course, the Middle East is extremely, you know, better than me. It's the Middle East is there is no such a thing as the conflict of Middle East, as people say, Middle East conflict. In fact, there are a combination of conflicts that are all linked one to the other, and it is extremely difficult. No one ends knowing exactly. I'm not an expert on that. Sometimes people ask you because they think that you have been appointed there, so you are supposed to know. But what I can tell you is that we are committed with life, with dignity of life, and rejecting all type of terrorism. So I hope this board of peace is positive.
Yes,
Excellent. Yeah.
sorry. Yes, please.
Great.
Let's go ahead with the now.
Okay. Your Excellency, I've got two questions. One, I just will pick it from what His Excellency now asked you. What is that special quality? Because I recently was studying something, being model allies of United States. So what is that special quality and these things that Argentina has that Donald Trump considers you as a very model ally, something we all will like to learn because the rest of the world will like to learn what are the attributes that really satisfies Donald Trump. That's number one. Number two, because as I said that we like to learn from Argentina. And second thing, coming back to India and Argentina, what exactly, how do you look at the cooperations in the areas of, say, space, nuclear, and biotechnology? Thank you.
Well, first, I go in the other way. Nuclear cooperation there was achieved in recent years, and in 2008 it was completed a nuclear facility in Mumbai for medicine purposes, and was developed by Argentine technology. And there is, of course, possibility of continuing working on that. You know about it. You were ambassador there, so you were involved in that. And in other areas, it can be that can be an example. For example, in space, and it can be we can work more about that. It is true. I don't know the details because I'm not an expert in nuclear technology. You can talk about that.
ISRO and CONAR, they have a formal agreement. They can, like in the space cooperation, lots can happen because whether it is weather related, whether it is the weather satellites, whether it is monitoring, all these sectors, cooperation talks are going on, and continuously ISRO and CONAI are talking under ambassador's leadership. Things will happen. And second part is biotechnology. We do not know Argentina is a superpower, but they have not sold it. Now, gradually, Indians are learning it. At least 8 agricultural universities are trying to establish contact with the base in Argentina in biotechnology sector. Nuclear, they can be competitive to Rosatom, peaceful use of nuclear. Say 22 villages electrification, those kind of. Thank you.
Thank you.
And well, recently there was an agreement signed between our technology. What's the name? INTA in English. It would say agricultural technology, and your counterpart here. And yes, exactly. And there is a program of 2 years, but can be renewed, of course. I think that in the technical level they are working on that in order to put that in practice. Regarding the other question about the relationship with the U.S., of course, I think you have also a very good relationship with the U.S. Each time the president says beautiful things about the prime minister and the prime minister, so I think it is. Mm. Oh. Yeah, I know. But we share values that have to do with the idea that we are two democracies and that we are fundamentally strong with the idea that terrorism has to be rejected in all its forms. And when the country, my government says that in Argentina, we say that we are, some people say we are allied with the West, let's say, with Western values. I think it is even more. We are part of the Western values because, as he was saying, most of the population of Argentina is from European origins. But we believe in those values, and we think that in the Western Hemisphere, those values have to be respected. That's why our position is so strong in that field, and that's what the commitments have been reached in the Organization of American States and have to be protected. I'm talking about democracy. I'm talking about respect for human dignity. And in other regions of the world, we respect the type of governments that they have. So I think we are in a very good moment of the relationship between Argentina and the US. But I think you are too.
Um, My name is KP Nair. I'm a member of the governing committee of the Foreign Correspondents Club. While government to government relations with Argentina and several other countries of your region, your neighborhood, are very good with India, my impression is that in recent decades, the people to people relations have sort of declined. They have come down. I can give you a few examples. One is that there was a time when Latin American ambassadors in this country were Nobel uh, Prize winners in literature, household names in intellectual circles in India, whom everybody could relate to. It's not a reflection on professional diplomats who are ambassadors here, but there was a time when there were several of the Nobel laureates were ambassadors here.
Octavio Paz.
Yes, yeah.
But Octavio Paz got his Nobel laureate many years after leaving his post here.
I
Because
think,
he was ambassador here between 1962 and 1968, if I'm not
Aha,
wrong.
huh.
And he got that Nobel, I think, in late 90s. Yeah. So maybe some of the ambassadors now got the some of my colleagues.
Okay.
Or maybe him.
The second, my question, by the way, is addressed to both Ambassador Cauchino and Ambassador Katua. The second point of people to people relationship is, I remember, say, 25 years ago, there were a lot more scholarships being offered to Indian students to study Spanish language. And Indian students used to go to universities in Latin America to study Spanish language. That appears to me to have come down. I see less and less young people now speaking Spanish in India. And my third point is, I love Latin America, your cuisine, churrascaria, and I think it's a Portuguese word, but I think it applies to Spanish also. As they say, the way to a man's heart is through the stomach. I know that there are restrictions on opening a churrascaria in Delhi because of certain kind of meat. But, I come from Kerala, where there are no restrictions on any kind of meat. Everything could be served. Tamil Nadu, southern states. So when you, as ambassador to whole of India, when you look at the whole of India, why is it that you haven't looked at opening your cuisine restaurants in places like Kerala, which should be extremely popular? These are aspects of people to people relations which don't appear to have been fully exploited.
Well, but maybe it's a good opportunity for you or your friends to establish one Argentine restaurant there in that area. I think it would be great. But it's not something that the embassy can do. No, it's a private run business. But regarding your question, I don't know really if there are more or less relations between. Maybe you are right, and I don't have the figures. Um, I can say that we try to promote, of course. We support, for example, all the activities that the Instituto Cervantes does, promoting the Spanish culture, the Spanish language, and the Spanish culture. And we work all the embassies of Spanish-speaking countries. We work with them, and we work good with them, and they are very supportive to us. But I don't know the numbers if there are more or less. But if we can do and work more on that, we will be happy to do it. Of course, the two countries, there are no there is no Indian large community in Argentina, and there is no Argentine large Argentine community here. That's true, and that's not going to change in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years or 20. So we this is the what we have. We have to promote from other point. Other bilateral relations in some countries are very strong because they have this type of. For example, India has more people in the Caribbean, people from Indian origin than in South America. That's true. So, but that doesn't mean that the relationship cannot grow and cannot work, because as we were saying before, it has reached this level. You have to imagine that today India is the sixth largest partner to Argentina. Maybe when you were ambassador there 10 years ago, more or less, it was not the sixth largest. And it will continue growing because India is growing so much. Yeah. But I expect your restaurant in Kerala.
Say couple of points. Language, Spanish, distance, geophysical, that is some of the limitation. But despite that, last 5, 6 years, 6, 7 things have improved. Say performing arts you are talking about. There are almost 37 Indian classical dance schools all over. Salta, yes, Salta province has a Sardar community there. We have taken a sword of Guru Gobind Singh there. Tourism has increased. But point is that because of the distance and other things, and the cooperation is so important, when you are talking about $6 billion and investment, 20 Indian companies there, $1 billion investment, Argentina's investment, $120 million, he won't have so much time for these things. But that is being promoted slowly. For example, I told you about yoga. There are 30 technical cooperation scholarships for Argentina students. They are here. Someday we'll have a get together, we'll meet them.
And let me add something else. In terms of tourism, for example, to promote tourism, recently Argentina has adopted the decision to allow Indian citizens holding a passport with a US visa able to go to Argentina with no need to take a special Argentine visa. That's it's very positive for to promote tourism, as other countries already have. And the other thing is that we are asking from my embassy and other embassies in the region to try to restore the Indian flight, that Air India flight that you used to have to Madrid, because after COVID that flight was canceled and it was never restored. And that flight, it will be very, very positive to develop tourist ties between our countries, because, for example, Argentina has, I think, 6 flights to Madrid daily, but every major capital in the region has flights to Madrid. We have flights to almost all major cities in Europe and the Gulf. So the connectivity to Argentina, although the flight is very long, the connectivity is good. But Madrid is a big hub for Latin America, so that would be very positive.
Since you raised the issue of visas, otherwise I was not planning to raise it. Your embassy's website says that all those who have US visas, and within brackets it says B1, B2, can get Argentina. But almost all of us here in the Foreign Correspondents Club, we have what is known as I visa in the US, which is the foreign media visa. So supposing we go with I visa instead of B1, B2, what will be the position? Will we be
Well,
denied?
now you in that case now today you should go and ask for a visa and you won't have no problem. But it is something that can be studied. We can explain, but it's very specific. It is a very few group of people, no? But if you want to go to Argentina, you are invited to go. I will do as soon as possible to get the visa for you. I hope you can go soon.
Sorry, I have to interrupt because Excellency has to go. And I want to thank you very much for being part of our FCC. And thank you, Ambassador Elchin will be having you very soon. Also, in this, we will also inviting you for his session. We will be more than happy. And before we close, and because Excellency has to go, we need to present for you a small token from our club to you and to Ambassador Katwa as well. Un momento.
Oh. I was here 2 years ago, no, 1 year and a half ago for the quiz, you remember, with Shinroy.
Yes,
He
Ambassador,
made
please,
two-
give it to him. Thank you very much. Join us for refreshment, please.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you, Excellency.
No, thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Amigo, un segundito, por favor.